If you should visit a place that has a lake in the woods and a beautiful waterfall, then you may also find two little engines called Skarloey and Rheneas. The engines know everybody, and everybody knows them. There are two more engines, Sir Handel and Peter Sam. They used to be called Stuart and Falcon, but they like their new names better. One day, Sir Topham Hatt sent Edward to the works to be mended. A big surprise awaited Edward.
It's Skarloey. What's he doing here?
Skarloey was pleased to see Edward. "I've been sent here for a rest," he sighed. "I was put in this shed so that I could see everything and not be lonely, but I do miss Rheneas. He's going to be mended. I wish I could be mended too and pull coaches again." Just then, some workmen arrived.
"We're going to take you to the works now, Edward. Come along." "Goodbye, Skarloey. Your railway's a lovely line."
"Oh, it is, it is. You've cheered me up, Edward. Goodbye." Meanwhile, Sir Handel was having trouble with some coaches. He tried to be kind, but the coaches didn't trust him. They were awkward and rude. There was worse to come. Some careless sheep had strayed onto the line. "He's bumped us," screamed the coaches. "Let's get back at him." They surged into Sir Handel and pushed him off the rails. No one was hurt, but Sir Handel limped sadly to the shed.
"No more work for you today," said his driver. "How are we going to pull the visitors' train without an engine?"
"What about me, sir?"
"Skarloey, can you do it?"
"I'll try," said the old engine. The coaches stood at the platform. "I'm ashamed of you," scolded Skarloey. "You might have hurt your passengers." The coaches quivered. "We're sorry, Skarloey." The conductor blew the whistle, and their journey began. Skarloey remembered all the gates and stiles where he had to stop. The sun shone, the rails were dry. "This is lovely," sang Skarloey. Presently, the line grew steep. Skarloey felt short of steam. "Take your time," soothed his driver. "It'll be better downhill," Skarloey said to himself. But it wasn't. His springs were weak, and the rail joints jarred his wheels. At last, a spring gave way.
"I feel all crooked,"
cried Skarloey.
"We'll need a bus now for our passengers," sighed his driver.
"No," pleaded Skarloey. "I'll get them to the station or burst." James was waiting at the platform. Clanging and clanking, Skarloey steamed in. "I'll do it! I'll do it! I've done it!" James collected his passengers and respectfully puffed away. Everyone was pleased with Skarloey, but he was still worried. "Old engines can't pull trains like the young ones can." "They can if they're mended, Old Faithful," smiled his driver. "And that's what's going to happen to you. You deserve it." It was winter on the island of Sodor. Peter Sam puffed nervously along the line. His funnel had never been the same since his accident with some cars. Now the biting wind was trying to blow it away. My funnel feels wobbly, he complained. I wish manager would hurry up with my new one. He says it will be something special. You and your special funnel, laughed the other engines. They were fond of Peter Sam, but his special funnel had become quite a joke. The winter wind grew worse. The rain came too, turning hillside streams into torrents, which threatened to wash the line away. Rusty, the little diesel, worked hard carrying workmen up and down the line. They were removing branches and leaves so water could flow away. But one morning, Rusty's driver brought bad news. There's been a washout near the tunnel. The track bed has been swept away. We must repair the damage immediately. The important work took longer than expected. As days went by, the weather changed. It became frosty and much colder. The workmen finished at last. Peter Sam was most careful as he took the morning train over the mended piece of track. Soon he approached the tunnel. It was short and curved, so his driver could not see right through it. Peter Sam was heading for trouble. There's something hanging from the roof, shouted his driver. Peter Sam came out of the tunnel a different-looking engine. He no longer had his funnel. Here's what hit you, Peter Sam, called the conductor, and he produced a thick, cold icicle. They set off again, but without his funnel, the journey was very difficult. Then his fireman saw an old drain pipe lying beside the track. We'll use that instead of your funnel. At least it'll help control the smoke. Peter Sam finished his journey with the drain pipe wired to his boiler. The other engines laughed, and Sir Handel sang a song about it. Peter Sam said again and again, his new funnel will put ours to shame. Went into the tunnel and lost his old funnel. Now his famous new funnel's a drain. The teasing continued until at last the day came when his new funnel arrived. Sir Topham Hatt proudly presented it. Oh dear, someone squashed it, said Peter Sam, but Sir Topham Hatt laughed. Don't worry, Peter Sam. This funnel is something special indeed. You'll soon see. Peter Sam's new funnel had special pipes which made puffing much easier. I feel stronger than ever before, he hummed. Even Sir Handel was impressed. I can't understand it. Peter Sam just seems to stroll along the line. He makes work look so easy. The engines don't laugh at Peter Sam's funnel now. They wish they had one like it. Stepney, the Bluebell engine, was busy talking to the other engines. It was his first visit to their railway, and he was having a splendid time. "You are very lucky engines," he said. "Your line has got everything. It's long enough to give you a good run, and you have plenty of passengers. Then you have a quarry and a mine, so you need plenty of cars. Cars are fun. I miss them on our line." Percy was surprised. All the engines thought cars were trouble. "You're welcome to take some of mine," he said, "but you'd better ask driver first." Their drivers agreed, and the two engines set off. Thomas and Toby were speechless. Stepney took the cars to the harbor. Then he picked up a load of empty ones and started back. Ahead was a cricket field. The game had just begun. Stepney and his driver had to wait at a signal. "Good," said his driver. "We can watch the game." Then there was trouble. The batsman hit the ball. It flew high into the sky toward Stepney's train. Clunk went the signal. Thump went the ball into a car, but neither driver nor fireman heard it. "Stop!" yelled the players, but Stepney didn't hear them. Come along," he puffed to the cars. "Our one and only ball!" cried the players. "Wake up, Caroline," they said to their old car. "The chase is on." Caroline coughed crossly and rolled down the road. Stepney wasn't hurrying. Caroline soon came up behind. "Toot, toot," she wailed. The players shouted, but Stepney was still too far away for his driver and fireman to see or hear properly. They completely misunderstood. "If those jokers want a race," said the driver, "they can have one. Faster, Stepney, faster." Poor Caroline wasn't happy at all. She rattled along at twice her usual speed. "I shouldn't be treated like this," she grumbled. "This pace is too hot for my system. It'll fuse all my circuits." Suddenly, Stepney was nowhere to be seen. "Yahoo! That silly train has run into a hole, so we can't catch it. I can go home now." But she couldn't. Her driver pounded Caroline on up the steep hill and then down the other side toward the station. Stepney was already there when Caroline cluttered in. "We need our ball back," cried the players, and explained everything. The ball was nestled under some straw in the third car from the van. "We've found it," cried a player. "We're sorry," sighed the driver. "Oh, you couldn't help it," replied the player. "Now we must get back quickly." "You'll be lucky," said the driver. Caroline looks worn out. And she was. The driver spoke to the station master and the signalman, and they all agreed on a plan. Soon they had rolled Caroline onto a flat car with a brake van coupled behind. The players crowded inside, and Stepney pulled the train back to the playing field. Everyone enjoyed watching the game. Even Caroline was pleased. She doesn't think trains silly now. They have their uses. They can save wear and tear on a poor car's wheels. Toby the tram engine has cow catchers and side plates. They help to prevent animals from getting hurt if they should stray onto the line. Daisy thought Toby's fenders were silly. "You're afraid of getting hurt yourself," she flounced. "I'm not," huffed Toby. "Yes, you are. I don't have stupid cow catchers, but I'm not frightened. I'd just toot and they'd all go away." "But they don't," said Toby. "They would with me. Animals always run if you toot and look them in the eye. Even bulls?" "Even bulls," said Daisy. Daisy had never met a bull, but she purred away quite unconcerned. She tooted at a farm crossing, and a horse and cart halted while she went by. She said, "It's easy. I just toot, and they all stand aside. Poor little Toby. I'm sorry he's frightened." At the next station, a policeman was waiting. "There's a bull on the line," he warned. "Please persuade it to return to the farmer." Daisy was excited. Now, she thought, I'll show Toby how to manage bulls. Champion isn't really a fierce bull, but this morning he was cross. He'd strayed from his field, crashed through a fence, slithered down a slope, and now he didn't know where he was. Suddenly, he saw some grass. "Now for my breakfast," he thought. "Ooh," tooted Daisy. "Go on." Champion was too busy chomping to take any notice. "Ooh," said Daisy again. Champion kept grazing. This is all wrong, thought Daisy. How can I look him in the eye if he won't turn around? At last he did. Said Champion. "Ooh, oh," murmured Daisy. "Why doesn't he run away?" "Go on, Daisy," said her driver. "He's harmless." "Yes," said Daisy unhappily. "You know he's harmless, and I know he's harmless. But does he know? Look at his horns. If I bumped into him, he might hurt them. The farmer wouldn't like that." Champion sniffed at Daisy. "Ugh," said Daisy, and that was that. Daisy did no more. Toby was bemused and amused to see her back in the station so soon. "Bulls always run if you toot and look them in the eye, eh, Daisy?" Daisy stayed silent. "Ah, well," continued Toby, "we can live and learn. I'd better chase him away for you, I suppose." He clanked away to find Champion. Toby's bell rang and his whistle sounded, but Champion took no notice. Then Toby whooshed loudly. That did the trick. Toby whooshed a little more. And now, breakfast over, Champion chuntered away to join the farmer. Daisy was feeling exhausted. She was glad when her day's work was over. Some boys were on the platform. "Look, Daisy," one teased, "I've got some sweets. They're called bullseyes." "I like them. Do you?" "Ah, keep your old bullseyes." And Daisy scuttled to her shed. Gordon the big engine and Thomas the tank engine puffed buffer to buffer back home. It had been a busy day. First, Thomas had teased Gordon about the time that the big engine had slid into a ditch. Then Thomas fell down a mine and Gordon came to his rescue.
Remember, Thomas, called Gordon grandly, united we stand, together we fall. You help me, and I'll help you.
I'll remember, replied Thomas, but I hope Sir Topham Hatt forgives us soon. Suddenly, they noticed something. As the two engines whistled into the sheds, everywhere they looked, they saw paint pots and painters. Bust my buffers, said Thomas. What's happening?
Shh, whispered Percy. Sir Topham Hatt's going to tell us now. Ladies and gentlemen and engines, I am honored to inform you that Her Majesty the Queen herself is coming here to visit us. Now, on with the preparations.
The engines wondered who would pull the royal train.
I'm too old to pull important trains, said Edward.
I'm in disgrace, sighed Gordon.
He'll choose me, of course, boasted James.
You, snorted Henry, you can't climb hills.
He will ask me to pull the train, and I'll have a new coat of paint.
Then the rain came. Henry's driver and fireman covered up their cab to keep dry. A painter was on the ladder above the line. Henry's smoke blew high into the air. The painter couldn't see. Both he and the paint pot fell all over Henry. Poor Henry.
Well, you're not a pretty picture, sneered the painter.
Sir Topham Hatt spoke next.
You look like an iced cake, Henry. That won't do for the royal train. I must make other arrangements.
Gordon and Thomas were waiting for him.
Please, sir. One at a time, replied Sir Topham Hatt. Yes, Gordon? May Thomas have his branch line again? I think you are both sorry and deserve a treat. Edward will go in front to clear the line. Thomas will look after the coaches, and Gordon will pull the train.
The great day came. All the engines worked hard, bringing people to the town. Thomas sorted out their coaches in the yard. Edward steamed in.
Beep! The Queen is here!
Then Gordon whistled as he approached the station. Everyone knew that sound. The Queen's train glided into the station. Gordon was spotless and his brass shone brightly. Sir Topham Hatt stood to attention.
Welcome, ma'am.
The Queen thanked him for a splendid run and asked to see all the engines.
Beep, beep,
whistled Toby and Percy.
Shh, hissed Henry and James.
But Toby and Percy didn't care. 3 cheers for the Queen! Beep, beep, whistled the engines. When it was time to leave, the Queen spoke specially to Thomas, who fetched her coaches. Then to Edward, and finally to Gordon, who took her away. No engines ever felt prouder than those on Sir Topham Hatt's railway. If one morning you were to ride in Bertie the bus, you would run down the winding country road with him, cross over stone-walled bridges, and travel past Thomas's branch line. Then you would hear Bertie's friendly greeting as he sees one of his friends pass by. His name is Tom Tipper, the postman. Every day, Tom travels cheerfully around the island of Sodor. He stops at stations collecting letters and parcels from Thomas and Percy's mail trains. Then he delivers the mail to farms and cottages far and wide. The engines know that anywhere their rails won't reach, Tom Tipper will collect their mail and deliver it safely come rain or shine. He's always ready to help load mailbags onto the trains, too. "Thank you, Tom," whistles Percy. "Yes, indeed," agrees Thomas. "You're a really useful postman." "Ah," replies Tom, "but where would I be without me van? We make a grand pair." One day, Tom wasn't at the platform. A postman they didn't know dumped the bags on the platform and disappeared. "What happened to Tom?" wondered Percy. "And his old van," said the driver. "No wonder the new postman looks cross. Trying to carry mailbags on a bicycle would make anyone miserable." Next morning, the engines were glad to see Tom back again, but he looked very sad. "The postmaster decided my van was too expensive to run. The rounds take longer on my bike. I'm sorry, I can't stop to help you." "I wish I could cheer Tom Tipper up," sighed Percy, the small engine. He was just wondering about how this might be done when his thoughts were rudely interrupted. A man was shouting at Tom Tipper. "You've got to come back to Sir Topham Hatt's office. He needs you to sign some important papers right away." "Oh, dear," replied Tom Tipper. "This is going to make me later still." He was in a hurry and being careless. He propped his bike against Percy's mail car and rushed away. "Stop!" cried Percy, but Tom was out of sight. There was worse to come. Percy's driver hadn't seen the bike and he started away. "Oh, no!" cried Percy. "Now there'll be trouble." And there was. Percy's driver quickly stopped the train. Everyone came running to the scene. Tom Tipper's bicycle was in pieces. "I'm sorry, Mr. Tipper," apologized Percy. "Never mind, Percy," said the postman. "It wasn't your fault. But now I've only my legs to get the mail delivered. Whatever will happen next?" Tom Tipper soon found out. Next day, he was waiting happily for Percy. "Beep, beep," whistled Percy. "Is that a smart new van I see?" "It is indeed. That accident did me a good turn, Percy. My chief decided a new van would do the job. Much better than another bike, and worth the expense. Now I can always be on time again." "So I did help," beamed Percy. "But by accident, you might say."
Picture a land where the sky is so blue, a storybook land of wonder, a magical island just waiting for you. Island of Sodo will make your dreams come true. Imagine a place where the sun always smiles, the valleys are green as can be. The friends that you love are all waiting for you. Island of Sodo will make your dreams come true. Children, follow the dream to a land of make-believe. The island of Sodo, magical land where dreams come true.
Follow the road that leads to your dream, over the hills and mountains. Look for the skies with stars in their